Stitcher. Welcome. Today is October 15th, 2025, and I've got a stack here bigger than I've had in a long time. It almost felt like setting up for a whip parade, and there's a reason for that. So I have today to show you, I have a fully finished project, I have a stack of whips, I have a game that I'm participating in, I have some purchases, and I have an update on my crochet. I'll show that at the very end. So let's get right into it, shall we? Let's start with my finish. So this is a gift, and this is called, here we go. This is called How Snowflakes Are Made. This is by SweetAnnet on, there we go, on Etsy. I've had this for a while, and I knew that, I don't know if you can see, I'm getting a reflection of my artwork. It just says how snowflakes are made, and of course we've got, bodily functions. And so I'm gifting this to someone who has a boy who still thinks that bodily functions are hilarious. I know that for her, she will use this as a Christmas display, not as winter, even though there's nothing that says Christmas. So I gave it a little festive background. I put it on a piece of 18 count Pandora by the Sewing Shop. And this is a real solid wood frame that I picked up for $10 at Home Depot. So let me bring that in closer. There we go. Wow, the reflection on that was crazy. Okay, so that's my full, I'm gonna put that there. That's my fully finished project. So then I have whips, and I've got, I think 10 here to show you, which is darn close to a whip parade for me. So first one is GRACKLES. This is by Omar Rayyan. It was from Heaven Earth Designs. They no longer chart his pieces, but his artwork is being charted by UnconventionalXStitch. This one so far has not been charted. So here is where I'm working. So last time you saw it, I'd come across the top and I'd come down here and finish the side. And now I got to the end. And now I'm filling in basically right in through here in the background. There's going to be an antler coming in here, but I was trying to get rid of the boring background, and then I can work on the antlers. So let me show you a before and after that section. I'll put it over my face. And then here is the whole piece. And this one is now, okay, so this one is now at 14.38%. No, it was at 14.38%, it's at 14.76%. This is a 20 count Aida by Zweigart, just a plain white. So that's my first one. My second one didn't get a lot of work. So I originally thought I was doing quite well, and I thought I would finish this. I have less than 6,000 stitches to go, but I was itching to work on something else. And every time I picked this up, I kept thinking about the other piece, and so I eventually just put this down and said I'll get back to it. So this is Brothers. It's by Janna Lateckova. It's charted by Thead Geeks, and here's where it is. So it hasn't changed much. I come down here and I've worked on his arm. I've filled in any missing stitches along his back over here, and there were a few strands along his hair. I made sure to get the bottom kind of done here. That's my needle, excuse that. And I've worked more on the mane. These stitches right in here, these off-white, I thought might be part of his arm, and it turns out that's background, so those have to come back out. I did frog the stitches that were above his head that I knew after putting them in that I didn't need, that was also part of background. So basically all I have to do is rip out those stitches, put a few more stitches in the mane that's over his shoulder, work on his arm here, finish that, and then I have to come over here. So the rest of him is done except for this section right here. So yeah, I have just under 6,000 stitches to go. And I don't have an accurate number on this, but this is currently, because I'm taking the background out as I go, but counting background, this is at 88.94%. So it's still a focus piece. I kind of have a plan, but here's the piece that I really wanted to work on. This is Only the Lonely. This is artwork by Adrian Borda, charted by UnconventionalXStitch. And here it is. So what did I do? This bottom page right here, I had started, but it wasn't quite done. It was only a couple hundred stitches. It wasn't more than that. And then I came up here and I started filling in and working this page. But see these black stitches? There's a few up here and then they come down here. Yeah, I highlighted the symbol for black and I got out my black. I double checked Pattern Keeper that yes, in fact, I was going to use black. As I was getting the thread on my needle and getting it set up, I must have bumped something on Pattern Keeper and it highlighted a different symbol. So all these black stitches have to come out. Now I've taken a few out, but because this is the last color that I put in, there's no stitches over it. So it will come out easily. I just didn't feel like it. So the thread is still in the back there that I'm taking out. Anyway, it's back there, trust me. So I was mad at myself and I wanted to stitch. I started frog it. I only took out 4 or 5 stitches and I thought, I want to stitch. So I left that page because I don't want to mess with that until I get the black out. And I came down and started on this page. So that's what this whole piece looks like now. So I'm going to put a before over my face. And this one was at 54.02%. It's now at 59.01%. And this is on 18 count Aida. This is not Zweigart. This is one of the few fabrics it's not. This came from Amazon. And yeah, so my plan for these two, let me reach back over here. So my plan for these, I originally thought, oh, this is so small. I'll get this done, get it out of the way, and then I'll focus on this to finish. So my plan now is to give Only the Lonely 2 or 3 days a week, and this one 1 or 2. So this one needs a good 6 days, if that, to finish. And this one is going to need about 25 days. I have a couple months, right? I have 2.5 months left, so 25 days is no problem. So that's what this is. I'm so excited. I love working on this one. I love the colors. Yeah, so, and that trunk. I thought the trunk would be really boring to do, but we've got all these colors that come in here and texture, and yeah, it's so much fun. So that's Only the Lonely. So now, as I said, I still have a stack of projects here. So what I did is last Monday, yeah, the 5th, I was watching Flosstube and I was watching Anna, the Alchemist Stitcher. And she talked about a game she created using Flosstube. And I thought, wow, that sounds like a lot of fun. So she had 12 Flosstubers and she's assigned a project to it. So similar to how people are doing the Big Brother or the baking show or whatever. She doesn't watch TV, and neither do I, except for football. And so she created this, that every time a Flosstuber puts up a video, that she would then work on the corresponding project. So I tried that for 1 week. And what I found was, number one, she has a set number of stitches. I will link her video down below so you can listen to how she created this and how she's using it. And I tried it. And my problem was, so I went through and I found 12 Flosstubers that always post at least once a month. So anywhere from once a week to once every 3-4 weeks. And then I assigned it a project. My problem became, number one, all of a sudden I had too many Flosstubes going up and I didn't have time to really stitch on other things. I also cannot follow rules. So a set number of stitches, a set number of strands, a set amount of time, it doesn't work for me. I need to feel that I've reached a spot that is comfortable to stop and put it down. So I let myself just stitch. So my rule is I'm going to stitch on it part of a day. So I'm going to pick it up one time. So one day out of the week, and however long I work on it is how long I work on it. I'm averaging between 350 and say 450 stitches is when I'm ready to put it down. But I had to make another change because assigning a project to a floss tuber meant that I knew that, for example, I'll use myself. Let's say I did a video every week and I assigned Only the Lonely. Only the Lonely is not part of it. We'll get into it. But let's say I would know that that now had to come out at least once a week, and it would feel like another focus piece. I have 2 focus pieces. I don't want any more focus pieces. So what I did, and I also figured out that 12 was too many for me. So I took those 12 and I used a random number generator, and the first 6 numbers that came up are the ones that I kept for my 6. I will tell you who they are, but if you are not on this list, it doesn't mean I don't watch you, I don't like you. It just means the wheel thing didn't pick you. So speaking of the wheel, anytime one of these stitchers puts up a floss tube, I will then spin a wheel that has 11 projects on it. So it has 10 of the 12 I'm taking into next year, and has one more that is an inactive whip that I've brought out, which you'll see here first. And I'm allowing it to respin. So it could spin the same project more than once. If you watched my last video, you know that I randomly picked a percentage and a stitch count that I would like to achieve on each project before the end of the year. So using that, when a project reaches its goal, if you want to call that a goal, it will come off my wheel. And that way I'm seeing progress on more whips, and maybe I will have a bigger percentage on all of those whips going into next year. I hope that makes sense, right? So you put up a video, you're on my list, I spin a wheel, whatever that wheel picks is what I'm going to stitch on. So I have 12 projects that I'm taking into next year after I finish these 2. So Only the Lonely and Brothers. After that I have 12 left, plus I have 3 inactive whips that I can go to anytime I feel like it. So 10 of those active whips are on my list because 2 have met their goal. And then one of the inactives has been brought in for 11. So who are the floss tubers? I put these in alphabetical order just for my brain. The first one had to be Anna from Alchemist Stitcher. So I put her down just because this is her game that I've kind of modified. But the random number generator did pick her as well. The next one is Catherine Stitches. Then we have Crafty Emily, Crafty Game and Jamie, Eminon, and In Stitches with Ebony. So those are my 6 that whenever they put up a video, I will spin my wheel and see what we get. So here's what I have for the first week of this. So the first one was my inactive whip that I pulled out. It's a Christmas piece. And now that we have Halloween out and it's getting colder, my windows are now closed because it's too cold, I brought out a Christmas piece. So I don't have this in my phone yet for the picture. So this is what it will look like. And I started this last December as part of Flossmas. And I did most of his belt and some of the red on either side of his jacket. And here's where I got to. So yeah, you can see I'm just filling in. I filled in, there was maybe 2 colors in the red that I filled in, and then I started filling in the fur around his jacket. So here's where the before is. And oh, I didn't say, this came from a book from Hirschner's that, several years ago. They were selling them for like $5. And I kept and copied out the ones I liked, and I passed on the book. So I don't have the book. And this is an 18 count Zweigart. I think this is antique blue, but it's one of their standard colors. But it is an 18 count, and Yeah, I'm kind of sweating out my borders here if I did this right, but I know that I counted it before I started, so I'm trusting. So that's the first one. And because that's a paper chart, I don't have stats. The second one is Broken Wings. This is artwork by Ines Guerrero, charted by Thead Geeks. Got it right. And this one is right here. So if you can see these colors right here, I had started them up in here, and then I had thread on my needle, so I came down here, and then I realized I had black, which meant I'm getting to, this is her skirt, shorts, whatever it is she's wearing. And so yeah, I filled that in. So I'll bring that in closer and I'll show you the before. This is now at 6.46%, and I put in 391 stitches. So that's Broken Wings. The next one that came out was Death in the Garden. This is artwork by Megan Majeski, charted by UnconventionalXStitch. Oh, this is Broken Wings is on a 20 count Aida that I dyed myself. This one is on a very light pewter by Zweigart. This is an 18 count, and here's where she is. So I was working up here trying to finish this page because I had skipped that and started working on her face, and it kind of bothered me that I didn't finish it. So this one here I put in 290 stitches, and I'm now at 27.91%. So there's that page there. And this may look like a lot, but it's really, you know, this is all one color here. This is a color, you know, we have, well, these are missing stitches, so these whites, you know, so it's not block stitching. See if I could bring that in. So you can see this is 311 right here. So there was a little section of that. So it's not confetti. This is really easy to stitch. So I'll bring this back and just show you the whole piece in comparison. So I hope this keeps coming out. I love working on her. Okay, the next one was Stone Expression. This is artwork by Giuseppe Maccone, charted by Stitching Moon Designs. Her shop is currently closed. She's got too much going on in her life. And here's where I am. So last time I think I brought this out, I worked over here, but I really wanted to start seeing the eye and the face of that stone woman. So I did from this over here. So this was done, and I just added this in. So that's where that stands. I'll put in a before. And this one is, I did 420 stitches for 37.56% completion. This is a 20 count even weave that I dyed myself. I was playing around with dye and I just wanted to see what the even weave would take. And it took much lighter than the Aida. Okay, next one. This is Children of the Forest by Emily Feigenshoe. And here we go. So last time I worked on a lot of the light colors in here, and this time I came up here to this block. This block was empty, and I started picking colors and then taking them wherever they would go. And it just turned out that I'm working in a lot of the branches. So I'll bring that in so you can see, and I'll put a before in over my face. So this is charted by UnconventionalXStitch. I put in 367 stitches, bringing it to 5.3%. And this is a 20 count Aida that I got off Amazon and dyed myself. So I wish I could really, it's so funny. I dyed this in a charcoal so that all these light colors would pop and I would see them. And in person they do, but on the camera, there's something about this color that it just kind of blends in. So that was Children of the Forest. Can you see how this almost felt like a wood parade for me putting it together? All right, the next one is Strength. The artwork is by Nicolai Payne, charted by UnconventionalXStitch. And I did, let's see, 395 stitches. And I did over in here, came down here a little bit. I did a few up here. Yeah, I'm just trying to work her head wrap, headscarf over to here to fill in that top row. So I think I did a few stitches down here by her finger, but that's the section I was working on. So I will put a picture over my face of what that was. This is on an 18 count very light pewter, again by Zweigart. And did I tell you the percentage? I'm at 43.82%. So because this is so large, I'm going to put a before here and an after here of the full piece. Okay, and finally, before we get into everything else, the last whip as part of the game was Masquerade. So this is Masquerade. It is artwork by Christopher Lavelle, charted by UnconventionalXStitch. I'm doing this on a 16 count Aida I dyed myself because there is so much confetti in this. And all I did this time was work on this section right here. So I'm putting in the 939. It is fun to stand back and look and go, well, there's the unicorn's horn, there's the ear, I mean, it's so fun to stand back and look at it as it develops. So I am going to take this row all the way across, and when I get to the end, I think I'm going to go up and start filling in. And I'll do it by chunks. I'll outline, then I'll fill in. Then I'll do another chunk of outline, and then I'll fill in. So let me bring this in close. Like I said, it was just this over here, and I'll put it before in. So I put in 448 stitches, bringing this to 6.66%, which I kind of feel is really an interesting number to land on for this particular piece. So there's the whole piece. So that was my stitching. So let's talk, I'll show you the crochet at the very end. Let's talk haul. And you can hear rattling first, so I will do this one first. Part of my crochet is that my granddaughter had spotted something. It's called a bralette. This is what it will look like. And she spotted one of those at a craft fair, and the woman had used acrylic yarn, or at least the woman holding the booth. I'm assuming she did most of the stitching. She used an acrylic yarn, and she wanted a considerable amount for it. And I told my granddaughter, I'm like, you know what, the acrylic will feel itchy. Let me do it for you. And you know, the acrylic was cheap. She shouldn't, I thought she charged way over what she should have. So I picked up, this is milk cotton, which if you're not familiar, it's a sock yarn, but it uses casein, which is a byproduct of milk, rather than throwing it out, and it makes this soft. This is the softest yarn I've ever touched. And I bought this off Etsy, and I don't remember the name of the shop, but it's right here. It's YWY Crafts and Supplies. And you can see she was sweet enough to add 3 stitch markers and a needle. So this will be later to do my granddaughter's bralette. Okay, so other purchases. These came off Etsy, and it started with one. I've been seeing this one pattern on Etsy, on Flosstube, that I adore. And I kept saying, no, normally when I see a lot of people start stitching it, I don't want to stitch it. But this one I really did. So I went to Etsy to purchase this. This is called Nocturnal Messenger. It's by Luthean Art Shop. And while I was there, some of the pieces that I had in my favorites that maybe I would like to stitch were on sale, anywhere from 60 to 70% off. And so I bought them when they're only $1 or $2, you know. So this first one is Girl Reading Book. Can't read my own handwriting. Girl Reading Book. It's by Dennis Design Studios. It's DENIZ. This next one is called Raven. It's by My Brave Stitch. this next one is just called Girl, and I want to say it's seagulls, but they look more like pigeons around her. And this is also My Brave Stitch. So those are the 4 patterns I bought. They're relatively small, so we'll see. And so finally, my crochet. Let me find the top. Okay, so last time you saw this, I was working on, just was like right around here. And so this, you can see, is going to be the shoulder. And now I've brought it down and I'm working in the armhole. So what you do, this is always single stitch. And then as you work the armhole, I don't know if you can see that, you're putting in a slip stitch, and that'll be really easy. It'll give a nice clean line when you add the sleeve into the armhole. So that's where I am now. I'm doing the decreases in that to frame out the armhole. So it's, and this is called Mermaid, I think, and it's by, my label fell off. I believe it's by Red Heart, but that one, that's my crochet. So that's all. Boy, I thought this was going to take forever to do. I saw the stack of projects I had. So not much has been going on. Just kind of settling in as we're getting into that fall season. I'm watching the leaves change. When I look out my window, I have rolling hills of trees. And so seeing all those colors is a lot of fun right now. While I may not enjoy the cold, and I'm not looking forward to winter, I love the colorful autumn that we have out here. So other than that, family have been around and I've been busy, but yeah, I'm going to keep working my modified version of Anna's Flosstube game or challenge. I think she's calling it a challenge. And again, I will have her video linked at the bottom. I will link all of the Flosstube channels that I mentioned that I'm using for my game. And I think that may be it. So thank you for visiting. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And I will see you November 1st. Speaking of November 1st, I have a very special video I'm going to put up November 1st. It will be my 5-year anniversary of doing videos. And so I hope that you'll look forward to that and let me know what you think. So, bye.